I'm going to talk to you about bootstrapping, positioning, and the lean startup philosophy of 1 million by 1 million. I founded 1 million by 1 million in 2010 with the goal of helping 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, thereby creating $1 trillion of global GDP and 10 million jobs by 2020. It's a business, it's a for-profit business, but it's also a global movement. We've been working with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship development organizations all over the world, and it's been a fascinating experience to connect with so many stakeholders of the entrepreneurship ecosystem and do meaningful things, constructive things together. So just to give you a bit of my background, I'm a computer scientist by background with a focus on developing scalable distributed systems. So into 1 million by 1 million, I bring that perspective of designing scalable systems from a computer scientist perspective. And then I went on to found 3 startups all through the 90s, all in the software internet domain. From 2001 to 2010, I've primarily consulted. I've had a consulting practice in Silicon Valley, as well as working with other geographies, but primarily based in Silicon Valley. And I write a strategy blog called Sramana Mitra on strategy that has been around since 2005 and is quite well known in the technology world. Over the last few years, I've written several books on entrepreneurship. The Entrepreneur Journey series is quite well known at this point. And a lot of the foundational work that 1 million by 1 million has come to build upon is based on my blog writings, my consulting work, as well as the book series that I've written. So I'll tell you more about all that in a moment, but let's first deal with some of the myths of entrepreneurship that I want to tackle in this conversation. One of the misconceptions that is rampant in the entrepreneurship universe of the world is that entrepreneurship equals financing. And this has primarily come out of Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, this is an overriding philosophy. Entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, first thing they think about when they think about entrepreneurship is financing. This is not my philosophy at all. I don't believe entrepreneurship equals financing. I believe financing is optional. It is one of the tools in the arsenals of an entrepreneur. The real equation of entrepreneurship is customer, revenue, and profit. As far as I'm concerned, successful entrepreneurship means building a sustainable company, something that has customers, revenues, and profits. We talk a lot about infant entrepreneur mortality, and I believe that if we could establish more of this philosophy of organic customer-driven growth and business building, we would really strongly impact infant entrepreneur mortality. I'm going to share with you a case study of a company that I consulted with some time back called IDS Software. It was a $10 million semiconductor yield management software company, and I consulted with them in the 2002-2003 timeframe. The entrepreneur owned 80% of the company, and they brought in a new CEO the company was kind of plateauing a bit. The entrepreneur had bootstrapped the company up to $10 million, but hitting the wall to some extent. Now, I was assessing the market size for this company, and through my analysis, it seemed like it was a market size of somewhere in the $300-400 million range. And I took this company, at that time we were evaluating the option of putting this company through venture financing. So I took the new CEO of the company, to see one of my friends, a venture capital firm called Trinity Ventures. And as we went through the presentation and the discussions, Larry Orr, who's one of the partners of, the managing partner actually of Trinity Ventures, debated the market size analysis with me and segmented and sub-segmented the market and showed me that the TAM of this business would not be beyond $150 million. And I think he was right. I could not dispute the argument and, the case that he was making. Now, it turns out that $150 million TAM, total available market, is too small for VCs. So eventually, we went and sold this company for $30 million. And the entrepreneur because he owned 80% of the company, he made $24 million. So let me ask you a question. Is this a successful entrepreneur? In your opinion, in your judgment, do you consider this entrepreneur a successful entrepreneur? This is an entrepreneur who has been rejected by VCs. In my opinion, this is a very successful entrepreneur. Somebody who can turn from nothing a business into a $10 million a year revenue business and profitable is definitely a successful entrepreneur. And this is an entrepreneur who has created personal wealth worth of $24 million. So this is a very successful entrepreneur. But he's been rejected by VCs. So what is the point here? My point is, if you are a serious entrepreneur, sooner or later, somewhere in your history, you are going to get rejected by VCs. Please do not take that as a final word. You need to understand why you get rejected by VCs. You need to have the analytical framework to understand your business and to understand the framework of VC decision making. But just because you're being rejected by VCs does not mean that you cannot be a successful entrepreneur. The fact is, 99% of entrepreneurs looking for financing get rejected. And this is true, this rejection rate is true even in Silicon Valley. And most of the time, the companies get rejected because the market opportunity is too small and the growth rate is or the growth rate is too slow. VCs are looking for humongous market opportunities and businesses that are extremely fast growth. If you miss one of those two vectors, you're not fit for venture financing. Now, I call this tyranny of the TAM. You're required to chase a very, very high TAM. But the truth is, these $500 million to $1 billion business ideas are extremely rare. There are many more 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 150 million opportunities out there than these 500 million or $1 billion opportunities. And I believe that if you own, especially if you own a large percentage of it because you're bootstrapping and so forth, these niche businesses are very worth building. You can make a ton of money by building niche businesses, and I just showed you an example of Idea Software and how they executed on that strategy. This is a niche strategy, and you can create a lot of wealth using that niche strategy. Let me give you another exercise. Which of these two entrepreneurs make more money? One on the left is a 90% owner of a $5 million business sold for $25 million. The other on the right is a 5% owner of a $25 million company sold for $100 million. The one to the right clearly has diluted herself. She's raised a lot of venture capital. So do the math. The one to the left makes $22.5 million. The one to the right makes $5 million. What is the moral of the story? The moral is ownership matters. Even if the exit price is low, if you have sufficient ownership, you can make a lot of money. And the truth is, these larger businesses, $100 million business is a lot harder to build than a $20 million business or even a $5 million business. So anytime you're trying to go for scale, you introduce more risk and more challenges. Let's look at Facebook. Facebook raised financing, the first two rounds, at incredible valuations. The first round was okay, $500,000 at $5 million valuation. But the second round, the Series B financing, was at $12.7 million valuation at $12.7 million at $98 million valuation. Now that, if you know anything about venture financing, is an exorbitant valuation. It's very rare, it almost never happens, but Facebook succeeded in doing this. How did they do that? How do you preserve that much ownership? You need to bootstrap to validation and momentum. By the time Facebook raised money, they had already momentum. And the corollary of that is that you need to be very, very lean in the early stages of the business building process. So going back to what we started with, the misconception is entrepreneurship equal to financing. No. Entrepreneurship equals customers plus revenue plus profit. Financing is optional in entrepreneurship. It's one of the tools in the arsenal of the entrepreneur, not the end game. Do not measure yourself by how much money you've raised in your career. Unfortunately though, an old error is generally more popular than a new truth, and it turns out that at least over the last couple of decades, especially over the last 15 years, this notion that entrepreneurship equals financing has taken hold, and it's a very sad situation. My feedback to you, my guidance to you is that entrepreneurs, please avoid Silicon Valley's errors. We have made this error, and the business schools and the media have really fooled this error and perpetuated this error in a very big way. But please understand that this is an error. It is not real. So focus your scarce resources on customers, not investors, not fundraising. In terms of resources, I want to point you to my book, Bootstrapping, Weapon of Mass Reconstruction. It's a volume 2 of Entrepreneur Journeys. And as a continuation of that same theme, one of the mantras of 1 million by 1 million vis-a-vis lean startups is the notion, do not spray and pray. I would like to see you position your company, your product extremely sharply, extremely in a very, very focused way so that you can get to market without burning through a lot of cash and wasting a lot of resources. Do not try to boil the ocean. I'm going to take you through a case study to illustrate my point. And this is a case study specifically talking about positioning. Now, positioning happens to be a discipline where there seems to be a lot of lack of clarity. But to be a successful entrepreneur and to be a capital efficient entrepreneur, you have to learn positioning. There is no two ways about it. Please do not think you can get away without learning positioning. Please pay attention to positioning. So the case study is PayCycle. It's a company that focuses on outsourced payroll services as a software as a service offering. Now, in terms of competition, when PayCycle was coming into the market, the payroll services market was already crowded. ADP is a multi-billion-dollar company that dominated the enterprise market. Paychex, also a multi-billion-dollar company, dominated the mid-market payroll services. So think about a situation where PayCycle is coming into this market. It cannot compete head-on with large companies like ADP or Paychex. So it has to find the gap. Where is the gap? The gap is in an underserved niche for payroll SaaS for very small businesses with under 20 employees. That's the gap that PayCycle found. Now let's look at a market sizing analysis, TAM analysis for PayCycle. There are 22 to 25 small businesses in the United States. PayCycle decided that they would charge $500 a year as their pricing. They needed to dramatically drop the price point to be able to cater to that very low end of the market. And with this assumption, the TAM works out to be about $11 to $12.5 billion. It's a bottom-up TAM analysis. By the way, bottom-up TAM analysis is the only one that matters. But As you look at this market, the truth is these 22 to 25 million people or businesses are not all in PayCycle's target segment. Only 5.9 million businesses actually employ people. The majority of the 22 to 25 million are mom and pops, no employees. So you can't sell payroll services to companies that do not have employees. So the TAM immediately drops to 2.95 billion. Another layer of segmentation yields 5.2 million employers with fewer than 20 employees. Remember, that's the segment that they're going after. So the TAM drops further down to about 2.6 billion. So if you continue an exercise like this on your business, whatever business that may be, you will see that the TAM is going to get smaller but more precise. And without precise segmentation, TAM generally appears larger. The other point is that to accurately assess TAM, you need to have a validated business model and pricing model assumption. So all these validation points, whether it's customer value proposition validation, business model validation, pricing model validation, these are all factors needed to get to a crisp and clear analysis of what business are you in and what are the dynamics of that business. And that's what typically investors look for in determining your eligibility for financing. Now, as far as I am concerned, I am looking for the same thing, and I'm encouraging you to look for the same thing yourself so that you can make decisions on what is the right financing strategy for you, what is the right go-to-market strategy for you. So TAM analysis drives many other decisions. In terms of reference material, Positioning, How to Test, Validate, and Bring Your Idea to Market is the third volume of Entrepreneur Journeys, and that's a book that contains 16 case studies in the area of positioning, and I strongly recommend you take a look at it. Other resources, the Entrepreneur Journeys book series and the blog are all available to you for inspiration, for role models, for case studies, and for lessons. The blog has everything, all the case studies that I've done over the years. You know, I've done probably over 300-400 case studies. All of them are available on the blog, but they're not synthesized and they're not curated and organized. For that, you're going to have to look to the 1 million by 1 million premium program, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But the book series does have some level of synthesis, and you can definitely find a lot of inspiration and a lot of lessons from the trenches from the book series. Let me talk about the book series a bit. The first volume of EJ1 is Inspiration and Overview. And I tried to give you the sense that it's about crafting a business. It's not about being lucky. I can't teach you how to be lucky. I can teach you how to craft a business, and that's what I've tried to do in the Entrepreneur Journeys book series as well as in 1 million by 1 million. The second volume is Bootstrapping, the third volume is Positioning, and the fourth volume is Innovation, Need of the Hour. All the books are available on Amazon and Kindle, and for those who are looking for these books from India, Flipkart sells all the books. In addition, in terms of resources, every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, we offer free 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtables. We've done over 80 roundtables at this point as of April 2011. Over 5,000 people have attended, and I've personally coached over 300 entrepreneurs. So it's a very active forum, very well known at this point, and you can come and pitch your ideas and get feedback on your business and business strategy from me in an interactive session. It runs like an online reality show. It is a public forum. We make all the recordings available to our entire audience, and people from all over the world attend these, all the way from Iceland to Malaysia to Indonesia to Latin America. We see people from everywhere in the world. In addition, we have the 1 million by 1 million premium program. The premium program synthesizes a very crisp rendition of the 1 million by 1 million methodology of lean startups, of bootstrapping, precise positioning. All these topics are dealt with in extensive detail. And for a $1,000 annual membership fee, you can get extensive methodology guidance. You get access to a curriculum, which is a combination of video lectures and case studies. We also do a lot of business development. We connect our entrepreneurs, premium members, to customers and channel partners where appropriate. And we offer strategy consulting through these kinds of roundtables that are private. And we also help with financing, although I will tell you this, that most businesses out there do not qualify for financing. So I will only introduce you to investors if I assess that you qualify for financing. And I will give you feedback if you have gaps in your business, you would like to go for financing, but you have gaps, I will be able to guide you in how to fill those gaps. But we don't automatically point you to investors to get rejected. So this is a page from the 1 million by 1. This is the home page of 1 million by 1 million. The URL is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. I've talked to you about the curriculum. I've talked to you about the free roundtables. I've talked to you about the private roundtables. We have an extensive discussion of what you can expect from the premium program for further reading. The methodology is, as I said, lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Remember, we have the best repository of case studies anywhere in the world, whether it's Stanford, Harvard, MIT. Nowhere will you find this kind of precise case studies that focus on the methodology of lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. And it focuses on the kinds of issues that you are dealing with as an early stage entrepreneur, of how to put one foot before the other. How do you validate your idea? How do you get your first customers? How do you, finance the very early stages? Things like this, which mostly the business schools don't deal with. The business schools deal with, case studies of how AT&T turned around a $1 billion division. These kind of issues which are completely irrelevant for you as an entrepreneur. So yes, this is a business school-like curriculum, but it's very focused on very early stage entrepreneurship, and all the case studies focus precisely on that segment of the business. Now, in terms of the curriculum, we have a core curriculum that consists of 7 modules: bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition and go-to-market strategy, and team building. This core curriculum is something that you should, internalize as quickly as possible, because anyone navigating the early stages of a startup needs to understand some of these issues, all of these issues actually, and I've synthesized the very, compulsory pieces of a startup navigation process in the core curriculum. The electives are aligned with the different trends of our industry, whether it's Web 3.0 and e-commerce, which I believe is going to be a very large, industry for this decade. Cloud computing and business solutions, we see a lot of activity in this area. Outsourcing and consulting will continue to be large. The geographies of outsourcing are changing. We're seeing new geographies come about, but outsourcing as a business, consulting as a business, these are going to stay around. Mobile and social apps is a big trend these days. Healthcare, IT, online education, gaming, these are all, significant trends of our industry. So we have modules on those. The areas where, whether it's green tech, semiconductor or systems, the more capital intensive businesses are areas where the methodology struggles more, because right now the funding situation for capital intensive businesses is harder to access. So this is something, if you're working in those areas, I would caution you that you're going to have difficulty. And the other point that I want to make on the curriculum is that this curriculum is entirely case study based. So even though I am teaching you through video lectures and synthesis of these case studies, the truth is you have some 300, 400 industry leaders, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs teaching you through this program. I have sat down with over 300 of these people and extracted their success stories and their methodologies and their strategies of how they have been successful. And what I've done in 1 million by 1 million is something that you can digest and internalize easily, because I've synthesized the lessons from all these, over 300 entrepreneurs. So you will have video modules, video lectures where I've provided the synthesis, but all the case studies are also available to you. As I'm telling you about some specific point, you will also see supporting case studies that discuss those issues. So it's a very, very powerful curriculum for you to learn entrepreneurship through. I talked to you about business development. We have a partnership with Persistent Systems, which is an Indian company that has an extensive channel in North America. Now, what we are doing is we are piloting right now with a couple of entrepreneurs, couple of 1 million by 1 million premium program members, and we are selling their products through the Persistent channel. And what that does is, for the entrepreneurs, it saves them the expenditure of building a US channel. And that is very valuable. These are the kinds of partnerships I'm talking about when I talk about business development. We do connect a lot of dots for entrepreneurs. And if there are opportunities for you to do business development through us by connecting into our network, we will do everything possible to make that happen for you. In addition, we have extensive access to PR channels. I have lots of, I have a blog that is well read by analysts, very well regarded, well respected by analysts, by media people, and by thought leaders. And I have a syndicated column that goes out to a lot of different publications, including Read Write Web, which is one of the biggest technology blogs in the world. So oftentimes I write about companies that we work with and bring some spotlight onto these companies. And that's very much part of the 1 million by 1 million program, is we help you access publicity and spotlight from the media. I'm going to give you a few scenarios of how you might be interested in, or you might be able to use 1 million by 1 million premium. If you are bootstrapping, it is very important that you do things in sequence and not run out of cash. So if you follow the 1 million by 1 million methodology, the likelihood of your achieving, valuation, achieving validation, achieving valuation, and being able to create value is much higher. So if you're bootstrapping, I strongly recommend you use 1 million by 1 million premium as your blueprint for navigating this market. Also, we are often working with small amounts of angel financing. Entrepreneurs are often working with small amounts of angel financing. And in these scenarios, if you're working with small amounts of angel financing, this is a very, very reasonable place, or very, very appropriate place for you to use 1 million by 1 million premium. What I'm showing you on the screen is a comment on my Facebook page from a guy called Ram Kumar, an entrepreneur in Chennai, who presented at one of my roundtables. And then he wrote me this message on Facebook, and he said that I wish I had the opportunity for something like this in 2007, 2008, when I had money. Well, it turns out that Ram Kumar has raised 100 lakhs, which is 100,000 rupees basically, from angel investors. And at this point, we are in 2011, so 3-4 years later, he's run out of that money, and he did things out of sequence. He built a product without really validating the market and validating his pricing model and so on and so forth. And if he had been following 1 million by 1 million, he would most likely not be in this situation. Now, if you're working with an incubator, also you can use us as a supplemental resource. We are working with a number of incubators. We've just announced a partnership with MAD Incubator in Malaysia, as well as Indian Angel Network Incubator in India. And what we are doing in each of these cases is supplementing the efforts of the incubators with 1 million by 1 million premium as an additional resource. Now, we talked about rejection by investors. If you are facing rejection by angels, VCs, and incubators, please do not take that as a final word. We are very much here to help you work through the issues of why you are getting rejected and what you need to do to plug your gaps. You're very welcome to come and work with us even if you have faced rejections from the investor community. So that's pretty much what I have to tell you as far as 1 million by 1 million is concerned. And if you go to 1m1m.sramanamitra.com, if you look through, there's a lot of resources there. There are a bunch of videos where I explain more about 1 million by 1 million. And you can also write to me if you have questions. We'll be happy to address any of your questions or concerns. And I look forward to having many of you join the 1 million by 1 million premium program and working with you as entrepreneurs in helping you achieve your goals. Thank you very much.